It's a real pleasure to introduce Chaplain Mike Charles. He's here basically at the end of our last board meeting. We prayed for military personnel and their families, and after that, Bishop Matthews said, could we invite a chaplain to come and just share some of the current things that are happening in the military world? And Mike is a recent returnee from the war zone, and he'll share a lot more about that. He is presently assigned to the Accessions Command at Fort Knox, and that's the command that works toward bringing all the folks into the military. A very important role that he plays there. He graduated from Carson Newman College here in Tennessee, a member of the Holston Annual Conference, and graduate of Candler School of Theology, and most recently a graduate with a master's degree in strategic studies awarded by the Army War College. He completed that just recently. He has served all over the world, all the countries, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Kosovo, Croatia. He and his family spent 2.5 years in Korea. So he is a world traveler, and he is married to an Army officer. Her name is Melanie Charles, and she has returned not too long ago from the war zone, and she goes in 19 days back to Afghanistan, leaving Mike with their 3 sons. His sons, and they're really the joy of their family. They have lots of names. We could probably have 9 children with all the names. But anyway, well, Alexander Paul Hoffer, Jacob Luke Derek, Jonah Clarence William, his 3 sons, and they are the joy of his life. He's a native of Tennessee, and when he retires in a few years, he and his family plan to retire in the state of Tennessee. Mike.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Bishops, district superintendents, leaders of our beloved church. I am humbled to stand here before you, and I'm especially humbled because this is kind of a highfalutin meeting from where I was raised. And Gene Henderson right back there can tell you where I was raised, on Buttermilk Road, exit 360 off I-40, just before you get to Knoxville. Who all noticed that manure smell when you were walking in? That's home to me. Give me a candy bar and a Coke, I'm good to go. Find me some cows to herd towards milking time. All that's still there. Exit 360, you actually hit exit 359 and stop and look to the right. That's my family farm, and all my in-laws and outlaws and kinfolk are all still in that area. I'm the only one that got away. I am the longest serving member of the Oak Ridge District of the Holston Conference because I was born there, raised there, went to the Bradbury United Methodist Church, Sunday school, a vacation Bible school, baptized there, married there, buried my father there 2.5 years ago, which is still sensitive to me while I was down the range. But I say to you, I am a product of not just the Methodist Church in general that I floated in and out of along the way, but when I come back from all those places that Tom has described to you, that church, that congregation, and you, the extended church, the connected church, are what give me and my family resilience and spiritual firepower. But it doesn't happen accidentally. I believe it happens with y'all being the worker bees that develop, nurture, and continue to strengthen the backbone of the administrative side. I hate administrative stuff, and as a colonel, I get to hire people to do it for me. I have an African-American female sergeant first class who's deployed twice. She's got kids. I got kids. I got a sergeant major, African-American sergeant major. He's got kids. He's deployed twice. We all make a great team because we all had to leave our kids and go away for a year, come back, reset, remount, reload, talk to your endorsing agent, that'd be Tom Carter, be the gang in the endorsing arena, who also communicated with downrange, hey, I'm back, but I'm not really back yet. It's a way to get back. Oh, by the way, while you're getting back, for my wife, get ready to go again. 2 years, time on station, 2 years of reset, we call that. You got to go down range. Now, how do we do that as a nation? How do we do that as an Army? How do we do that as a military group of folks? I believe one is that you've got some good, solid, quality, resilient, spiritual rooting. And I want y'all to celebrate that. Yeah. I didn't get asked to say that. I'm saying the things that I'm going to say. But along the way, I have been nurtured. I've been nurtured by the endorsing agency as I went from lieutenant to captain. That all happened coming back to here. You know, you got to come back to the mother church and see the folks in the office. And occasionally they come to see you. And so in my background, in my time in the Army, the endorsing agency has sent some folks to come out and see us. Saul Espino and I were in Hawaii together, and I was a young captain. Folks came out, had a little retreat. We got to go down by the beach, recharge our batteries. I was in Korea. 3.5 years I was there. 6 months without my family, 3 years with. It's a whole different, entirely experience when you have your family with you. Yeah. And in the midst of that, Bishop Marcus Matthews and his bride, and Greg Palmer and his bride came, and I got to drive them all over Korea, no kidding, and show them why the mission in Korea is important. But the first day was go right up to the DMZ and say, Bishop, here's your safety brief. It's not very safe today. We're going to go up there right on the DMZ, and you got the enemy over there with sunglasses on, and bad things have been known to happen. But the sun's out, Kim Jong-il's well-fed, we think, so it probably is a good day to slip you in and slip you out. He's alive to this day to tell about it. He survived. So that's a way that the endorsing agency has nurtured me across the years, and I'll circle back to that. But now I want to walk into what an Army chaplain does, and at the end of this, I hope you'll have an idea. The first thing is, guys like me who come from Buttermilk Road and other parts of the hinterland, like my buddy Ben Anderson. Where's the bishop who? Yeah, Ben Anderson is one of the bishop's fine folks there. And Bishop, I know you turned your rotator cuff. I lost my seminary ring and my wedding ring a week ago, also on leave in the ocean. But I got my rotator cuff, so I got to get all that back again. I'm working on it. War story. United Methodist chaplains in their setting do ordinary acts of ministry in extraordinary settings. That's the best way to say it. Acts of baptism, acts of marriage, acts of nurture and teaching and communion and the Lord's Supper in far off, desperate locations. I deployed with the 10th Mountain Division. That's that patch right there. Its base is out of Fort Drum, New York, but it go everywhere. Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. I was the senior chaplain for that organization, so I had about 47 captains and majors working for me on this side of the pond, and I got to the other side of the pond in the Iraq area, in the area that we were in charge of, and I had about near 70 working for me. Oh, what kind of work do they do? Religious programming, religious support. How do we serve communion? How do we bring a rabbi in? How do I get a Catholic priest out to an outpost that's not seen a priest in approaching 30 days? Now, I had a general who's Catholic, every Sunday Catholic, General Oates, from Texas. You always got to say if they're from Texas that they are from Texas because they still think they're a state of their own. So, General Oates, I bet there's some people from Texas in here. So General Oates, we land and there's a Texas flag flying upside down. General Oates said, boys, I know we got a bunch of stuff we got to do, but I'll be right back. Went over and gave a block of instructions. When we landed there, I said, sir, what's your guidance to me? Well, Mike, don't mess up. Meaning, you know what needs to be done. I'm not going to tell you what needs to be done. You know, you get Catholic priests around. In the Jewish high holidays, you get me a rabbi. If you don't get me a rabbi, get me a replacement for you. Got it. That's good marching orders. I'm from Tennessee. We went to Texas to help y'all out in that little thing called the Alamo. To which he says, and this goes to show people would rather go and die in Texas than live in Tennessee. Okay, sir, you got me. Specialist Alex Jimenez is 25. Private Brian Fowdy, 19. Based with the 10th Mountain Division, were captured by insurgents who overran their observation post. Let me just say that a little clearer. That's America's 25-year-old son, America's 19-year-old son, are sitting in a Humvee on the dark of night and with the engine running, just staying warm. They're your sons and daughters doing what the military is asking them to do. The bad guys come up and snatch them out. They're not at the height of their security. They're staying warm. Wank open the doors, kill one, kidnap the other one and kill him pretty quick, but take these two guys and hold them as prisoners, and eventually they kill them and they chop them up, and they're lost. We've lost two of our own that wear this patch, but they wear America's flag. And some of them out there that have this happen to them are United Methodists. I always ask. I'm saying that to bring it into this room, to liven up the work you do, which you're doing administrative things, but it turns out people like me and other folks that stand with me in a host and legions behind me. Other folks that have been mentioned to Tom Carter. Are you back there, Tom? Who can name them all to you. I'm not just one. I'm one of many. But you don't grow one of us overnight. You start growing us when we're 9 and 10 years old at the Bradbury United Methodist Church on Buttermilk Road, which may not think that it is a giant of spiritual firepower in the United Methodist world, but I'm here to say they are for me. Foudy and Jimenez, they're stayed gone and missing for over a year. When we land, as in the parent unit, the parent organization, 1 month later after our landing, 6 weeks, I'm at the chow hall. My cell phone rings, not very good in Iraq. Hey, Chaplain, this is the driver for the general. He wants you down here. How soon can you get here? I'm on a bicycle. I'll make it in 10 minutes. I said, no kidding. He and I are ministers together in the Holston Conference, and we're going into the belly of that C-17, and we're going to say the words. We're going to have prayers. We're going to lay hands on those two caskets of those two found individuals, and then they're going to go and fly to Dover, just like the 30 folks out of the Chinook helicopter that we've all read about. Now, chaplains get featured in two places immediately, and a third, and then a fourth. The first place is no matter where that casualty happens on the battlefield, a chaplain will go and lay hands on that casket, or on those boots, or on that helmet, and pray for the soldier, the military member, and the family to receive the body. They'll be met at the Dover airfield, and if you watch close, the president came into the aircraft and he stopped while a chaplain said a prayer up at the nose end of the aircraft. There were 20 in one and 18 in the other. That's a full belly of a C-17. With our sons and daughters, it takes years and years to grow those kind of warriors. The president stops. Otis, President of the United States, because he knows the chaplain is going to say the words. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our culture. It's something I hope you'll walk away with knowing. I say the words that the church taught me to say. I didn't make this up. These come from the ancient fathers and mothers of our faith. So I said the words. I called out their names. My buddy David Knight, he did the 23rd Psalm, just like you would do on Buttermilk Road or in the places that you come from. And we laid hands on them, and all the crew members stood at attention. And they do every time. Some aircraft is going to come into some remote and dark location, but our chaplains are going to be the ones that lay hands and do those things of saying the words and bringing the possibility of order to the chaos of combat death and or wounded, in this case dead. Okay, so what is that to you? Recruiting, identifying, and nurturing of liturgical chaplains is important. Specifically, though, there's 1,600 plus chaplains. I just got a strength report so I could come and tell you. As of July of 2011, in the Army active duty, we've got about 1,623 active duty chaplains. Of those, 103 are colonels. And I'm one of those 103. 225 are lieutenant colonels. And then there's a big batch of majors and a batch of captains. Just start off as a lieutenant and you grow. I started off here, came into the Army as the longest serving member of the Oak Ridge District, but I've not served in the Oak Ridge District of the Holston Conference since 1988, because I've been going to all those places that Tom Carter rattled off back there, flying around the world, doing ordinary ministry, baptizing, preaching. When Bishop Matthews came to see me in Korea, I had the most diverse population, diverse congregation, and the most giving per capita congregation I'd ever had in my Army career. And I was there for 3.5 years. Red and yellow, black and white, all were precious in God's sight. When you stood up to make an announcement, it was made in English and Korean. Annyeonghaseyo, kapshikapshida, and other Korean words. I knew just enough to be dangerous like a psychology major. But we had the most money in that congregation of any other sub-congregations around. So much so, once I actually got to look over to the Catholic priest, Army Catholic priest. He's got a uniform on. He's doing Catholic things in an Army uniform. And he was persnickety, difficult to get along with. For instance, his congregation locked the chapel up on Christmas Day. We got all-day Christmas is going to be for the Catholics. Okay? All y'all nice people are leaving the room. Me and this Catholic priest are going to have a conversation. It may involve bruises. It might involve words. But at the end, the Protestant congregation and the gospel congregation are going to get an equal piece of the time clock pie. Capiche? Bye-bye. Me and the priest. He said, I got money woes, I got problems. I just need a little bit of money. My people just aren't giving. I tell you what, Father, we'll give you some of ours. We'll take care of the Catholics. Oh, he just hated that. But that's what an Army chaplain gets to do, just a kind of part two of what Tom and I talked about, share my experience. I've been in both combat as a captain and combat as a lieutenant colonel and combat as a major. So what do I see? I hope I'm already making it clear. I see spiritual urgency. Things aren't casual when you're getting shot at. We think and we operate different when bullets are flying, or we think bullets are getting ready to fly. We go to the bathroom differently. I could tell you more, but you don't want to know more. Sometimes we have bodily functions in that fear that involves throwing up. I could tell you more, but you don't want to you want to know more. But it's not like going to the Hardee's and you're unhappy with the menu there. Or you go to church and you just wish they'd sung Amazing Grace. It's got to happen there with vitality. It's Super Bowl every service that you do. And the person who's sitting there listening to the words, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that we would not perish but have everlasting life. That soldier, male or female, at the end of their spiritual rope, that might be the only service they get because they go back into harm's way, way out at the tip. They're not going to get a piece of time. They're not going to get a precious moment to hear, precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm worn. But through the storm and through the night, take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on. Dang, chaplain, I can do it now. Thanks. That was like water. Was that the Gettysburg battlefield, Little Round Top? Texas regiment is supported by 2 Alabama regiments that they're fighting on the Confederate side. They marched 30 miles to get to the point of the battle, the point of the line of charge. Then they charge way across with Longstreet's corps up to the Battle of Round Top, and they got to the end of their water. There's a little canteen. You can go to the museum and see it, that last court. They got to the end of it, and they just start doing what the human body will do when it runs out of water. It'll just fail. And the 20th Maine, led by Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, teacher, preacher, instructor at a college in Maine, commands fixed bayonets. And the 20th Maine comes charging down the hill at those 2 Alabama regiments. They're just out of water. They're not out of fight, but they do have to go rehydrate. That's what we have to do spiritually speaking. And that's what chaplains bring to the table. A point of rehydration just like you get when you go to church on Sunday. Now, my wife's upcoming deployment in our family dynamics. You'd think if we've done this so many times, it'd be easy. You'd think I've been in the Army 25 years. She's been in the Army 21 and a half. She's going to retire. When she goes down range, she's going to drop her paperwork. Why? 3 times is enough. Our boys are getting older. They only have a little bit of little boys left in them. Our oldest is in college, and he reminds us, you're done with me. I just need the money for tuition. And you know, my car, it's kind of old now, too. He's great guy. But he'll be the first to say, he comes home on spring break. We're not molding him near as much as we are Jacob and Jonah. It's a great sacrifice to go away, and it sets up quirky things in the marriage and in the family. When you're sitting at the dinner table and you're praying every night, you pray and you thank God for the food, and you ask God for perseverance to get through this next deployment, and we truly will treasure these precious moments, precious memories like Willie Nelson used to sing about and maybe still does. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. That's what we're building right now in the next few days before she leaves, and that's what we'll sustain ourselves with while she's gone. Okay, Appreciation for all of you. And it's the last thing I want to say. And if you want to ask some questions and answers, and Bishop Matthews doesn't pop the whip on me, I'll be happy to answer anything you want. And then I'm in no hurry. When I go to the back room, I'll tell you anything you want about little details. My life is a really large, thick story of goodness. It's not been without challenge. It's not been without laying hands on 4 soldiers who went down, and writing Laura Pippin when she wrote me about, do you need any more phone cards? Oh, what a godsend. Because no matter what else I say about my Baghdad experience, my second war, I called my kids. I got up at 3:30 in the morning. I went to get my 2 cups of coffee at the Green Beans Coffee Company. And I went to my office, and I had the ability to do it, to pick up the phone, use a United Methodist calling card, and talk to Jacob and Jonah every single night. Every night I managed to pull that off. Chaplain, can you come see us? Can you do this? I can do anything. But you need to have me in front of a working Class A telephone line at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then you got me. Lock, stock, and barrel, hook, line, and sinker. I'll come and bring everything, and I'll bring my guitar, and I'll sing your socks off gladly. But it is still a fight to be sustained. And so when I came back from burying my father on the family farm, the very next day, the first working day, 4 helicopter pilots and 2 Kiowa warriors run into each other in the night. It takes 20 years or so to raise a CW-3 Kiowa helicopter pilot. It only takes a few hours, days, to put their remains in a box and send it back to the family. They got preyed on in Iraq. They got preyed on at Dover. The family was assisted by a chaplain when they were notified of the death, and then a chaplain helped put them in the ground or whatever that happened to the remains. That's 4 places that a chaplain plays. That does not come without some kind of personal price. On that day, when I had 4 folks and flew up there with my general, laid a coin on them, prayed for each one of those, it was not at the top of my compassion, caregiving game. I was like depleted. And Laura Pippin wrote me, you want some more phone call cards? Yes, I'd love them. By the way, I laid hands on 4 caskets today. I'm getting discharged in terms of my batteries. And she snapped right up on that. She wrote me right back. This big nurturing guy, you've been doing X, Y, and Z. We want you to be encouraged, not discouraged. We want you to be fortified for that battle that's in front of you, not depleted. We want you to be prayed for, not prayed out. Tell me what else you need. I'll tell Tom. We'll put it on our list. We'll let the bishops know. That's what we depend on the United Methodist Endorsing Agency to do. It's like a cusp between the local church bishops who are out there, a cusp between that and this governmental kind of, I know there's non-governmental chaplains, but this is the governmental chaplains who are United Methodists out there in the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, places, State Department, where we have the presence of Christ on any day, where every day for that presence of Christ is a Super Bowl Sunday or a Super Bowl event. Your only day, our only day, to pour water into the canteen of that soldier or that military member who's at the last drop. Amen? Amen. It has been an absolute pleasure to be in front of you. I hope these are instructive, and you know what an Army or a military chaplain does as you leave this place, and that you know it is vital to the nation. Don't let other people do our good work. A United Methodist chaplain, my wife was deployed downrange the first time. Youngest child's 9 months. The middle child's 2 years. Oldest is 12. He's former United Methodist. He went to the Episcopalians, and I called him Chaplain Turncoat. He came to me at a luncheon, and he goes, hey, Mike, how you doing? Now, y'all know how this goes. How you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you really doing? It sucks. I'm a single daddy with 2 kids in different colored diapers, different size diapers, 2 sizes of Gerber baby food. I am a warrior priest, and I'm at home, and my wife is downrange flying around in helicopters, in Russian helicopters. She's with the special operations, and she could get killed at any time. And he goes, that might happen, and I might have to come to your door. Now get this, I think it's important. I said to him, sir, if you have to come to my door, I want it to be you. Don't send a Shetland pony to do a stallion's work. So I say that to you. When it comes to doing ministry to America's sons and daughters who are military members, let us not depend on another denomination to fill the ranks with folks who may not be liturgical, who may not have that connected, united Methodist spirit. So a bishop that you do not know can land in a country like Korea, and you have this great connection because of our connection. It's a part of our culture. Let us not let our ranks dwindle when there are folks out there to be identified, recruited, encouraged, trained, and equipped to go do ordinary ministry in extraordinary, far-off circumstances to those who are desperately hungry for it. And with that, I'll say, thank you for inviting me, and amen.